Hey guys, how's it going? SpecV here for another video, and today we're going to discuss things I hate about my SpecV. So I don't hate my car at all, but there are definitely pet peeves I do have about it that I wish were different. View the low life accidentally happened, kind of embarrassing. So the first thing I do not like about this car is we do not have a button here to release the trunk, nor do we have a keyhole there where it would have been on a base Sentra. I'm guessing maybe Nissan took it out for weight reduction or something, but personally, to me, not only being able to either use my key fob to undo the trunk or that little latch in there to undo it gets pretty annoying sometimes. It's not detrimental or anything. It's just a minor annoyance to me. And that's the first thing I hate about this car. Right. The second thing I hate about this car is not the shifter itself, but the bushings inside of it. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. These shifter bushings are infamous for going out eventually. That bushing in there likes to wear down over time, and it will get to the point to where it actually breaks completely, which is not fantastic, obviously. And you have to either fetch one from a junkyard if you can find one, or buy one from online, which I'm pretty sure is like a couple $100, and obviously no one wants to spend that. So the SpecV community is trying to see if we could find solid replacements for this, like 3D print something or whatnot. But until then, that's something we get to live with, and that is something I do hate about this car. The third thing I hate about this car is doing the valve cover gaskets. If you have done the valve cover gasket on this before, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't done the valve cover gasket before, you see, to get to this valve cover, you gotta take off. What I had to do anyways when I did it was I had to take out my reservoir so I could take this mount off. And taking this mount off allowed me to take this big ass mount off, which is bolted to this huge fucking mount here. And then once you get all that off, and you get this disconnected, you have to squeeze an extension beside your intake manifold to get the bolts out for the fucking valve cover. So it's not the worst job in the world to do, but it is not fun either. And my valve cover, you can probably see here, is starting to seep a bit. I need to do it again. I am not looking forward to it. So the other thing I do not like about this car, something else in the interior, and it's just a me thing, to be honest. The automatic window. So as you guys know, when you go to operate your window, it's automatic down. And I work for Infinity, so I'm used to the windows being auto up, auto down, and up. So what threw me off with this, excuse me, sorry. What threw me off was this is auto down, but not auto up. It's a small thing. Don't call me a bitch or nothing. I just prefer having auto up as well. Just me. Might be a way to put it into the computer, I don't know. Not a humongous thing, it's just a small pet peeve I have. Alright, so I want to say this is the final thing, unless something pops up. The last thing I do not like about this car is that solid beam rear suspension. I would have preferred if Nissan had put a IRS, an independent rear suspension, to make this handle a bit better. But they went the cheap route and put this solid beam rear suspension in it, which not the worst in the world. You can make it handle well. Like, you can definitely make it handle pretty damn well. But IRS ultimately is better in every single way at the end of the day, in my humble opinion. I believe when they got to the B16 Sentras, they started with the beam rear suspension, which I understand is probably cheaper. But it's just a small pet peeve I do have about this car. Something that just occurred to me. The other thing I don't like about this car is one of the other things that is known to go bad on these is the blower motor. It will start making noise when it starts failing, or it gets clogged up with crap, or it just fails altogether and doesn't work as well as it could. So usually the blower motor would be behind the glove box in this car, because you know, the glove box is pretty fucking deep. Honestly, it's hysterical how deep this fucking glove box is, to be honest. Nissan couldn't put it there, so Nissan put it behind the instrument cluster. So what Nissan wants you to do is take out the whole dash to get to it. I'm not doing that. So what you can do instead is, well, I don't have any lighting, but you gotta take out the brake pedal and the gas pedal, raise your hand up there, remove the BCM, and then snake your hand behind everything to take out the screw that holds the blower motor in, and snake that blower motor out, and hope you oriented it in a way to where it's not a total bitch to take it out. So I do love that Nissan gave us such a big ass glove box, but the procedure to get the blower motor out so you can replace it is a fucking bitch. The other thing I hate about this car is the header. Not the header itself, because obviously this is an aftermarket header. In order to get the header off, the bolt right over here, and you can't really see it, but the fact that you can't see it shows my point. This alternator is in the way. So in order to take the header off, you gotta get to that pulley down there, pull it back, get the bell off, then take off the two bolts that connect the alternator to the car, and then pull the alternator off just to get the header off. 2J Racing does make a little spacer for it, so that way it can space the alternator away from the header just enough to get that bolt out. But I have not heard fantastic things about that spacer. Otherwise, I would have done it already. And it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is really fucking annoying to have to take this alternator off whenever I wanted to take the header off, which is why I do not intend to ever do this again. And then the fact that the alternator is so close to the header, for those of you who know how electricity works, heat creates impedance on electricity and makes it not work as well as it should. So SC Concepts makes a heat shield for the B15 to protect the alternator from the header. There's nothing made for the B16 yet. I have considered fabricating my own heat shield, but I know nothing when it comes to fabrication. The last thing I hate about this car, and this was actually one of the reasons I got another SpecV in the first place, but it becomes a hate thing also. The thing I hate the most about the SpecV, and it's not at all the car's fault, there's no aftermarket for this. Pretty much no aftermarket. There's a couple of intakes for this car out there. There is, well, the harmonic header is the only good header for this car. OBX makes one also, but there's intakes. There's a few exhausts for this. I have a Borla muffler on that. It's made specifically for my car. There's a mesh grill for it. I have a Stillen roof spoiler on the back. Stillen makes a front lip and a rear diffuser. valence, rear valence, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And honestly, that's it. That's all in terms of aftermarket. My grounding kit, which if you want to see a video on grounding kits and what they're for, please let me know in the comments. I will happily make one. I've been thinking about making a video on grounding kits, but I just haven't found the time to do a proper demonstration like I want, and B, I'm not sure as to how much interest there even is in the idea of the grounding kit, and if you need one or should get one or not. But anyhow, that grounding kit is universal. That banner is universal, but that's most banners anyways. The coilovers were made for this car. The intake and the header were made for this car. The muffler was, and that is it. Everything else, if you want to do it, you gotta make universal shit fit. For my purposes, when I originally got this car to be a daily driver, to have a few things done to it was fine. But then, you know, I went down the rabbit hole of modifying cars, and here I am scrounging for any and all parts that might fit. Scrolling through forums all the way back into the Facebook groups, trying dearly to find anything that'll work. It's a love-hate thing with this car. Either you don't modify it that much so you don't worry about the lack of aftermarket, or you're trying to do a full-on build on it like I am, and the lack of aftermarket really gets to you. So if you guys want to know exactly what aftermarket stuff they do make for a car for sure, I can do a video on that too. I don't mind. I want to do a video on whatever I can to benefit you guys, and I won't know unless you tell me. Note, this is how you know she burns oil. The QRs aren't bad about oil themselves. I think my valves and seals are just shot. My girl's thirsty. Alright, so that will be it. And if you guys have a thing about your SpecV, or just whatever car in general you have that you don't like, let me know in the comments. I will read to them. I will read them, and I will absolutely respond to them. So thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.